impossible than you might have imagined they were, somehow.
So, Series 3 of Staged is dropping when?
Do you know, Series 3 of Staged, is there? I don't know, because we're now in a different place, aren't we? We're now sort of pretending there isn't a pandemic anymore. But I don't know. Listen, I would never say never to it, because it was something that we just did on a whim to see if we could. We made one episode to see if we could. And then we sent it to the BBC and they went, we'll have 6 please. Which took us by surprise. But I guess there wasn't a lot of content being made. So they were probably quite pleased that somebody was doing something, even though it was just on their iPhone. So we had a lovely time. I'm glad that people liked it.
Well, I think I'm going to turn it over to the audience. Let's start right over here.
Hi.
Hello. My name's Stab. This is my twin sister, Wai. This question is from both of us.
Okay.
We both really love everything that you've done, but especially really admire your incredible ability to do remarkable portrayals of villains and evil characters. But we always will have a special place in our hearts to your portrayal of the Doctor, because that's how we were introduced to your, everything that you've done. So we kind of have a question about that juxtaposition.
Sure.
Hi, I'm the short one. So the question is, what are the differences and similarities both with your own experience acting and people's reactions to your characters, with being so well known and beloved for playing such a good guy character like the Doctor, but also playing all these like villainous bad guy characters like Kilgrave, Kale from Bad Samaritan, Tom from Dead Waterfell, things like that.
Do you mean which is the real me?
No, what have you noticed about people having such a connection to the Doctor, and then you suddenly playing these characters everyone's afraid of or is supposed to dislike, and your own experience with the differences in general?
Yeah, I don't think that's really for me to decide, is it? It's sort of for other people to decide how they react to it. Because you don't play a part hoping to manifest a sort of connection with you as an individual. You just play the part to tell the story, and to enjoy inhabiting that personality. So if it surprises people that you do things that seem quite imposing, that's not really what goes on in your own head, because actors are arrogant and we think we can do everything.
Yeah.
So I don't know really. It's hard to be objective about that, because it's an entirely subjective experience, if that makes sense.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Right over here.
Hi, David.
Hi.
Jessica.
Hi, Jessica.
I've been watching you since I was like 12, and I remember your first episode, your monologue in your robe. I did the same one in high school, in the robe as well.
What, you mean you learned it and did it?
Yes, by heart, in a robe, and I used tap light as the button.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
And on to my question. So what was the emotional impact for you when you left as the Doctor?
Oh, it was very sad. It was very sad, because it's a big old thing. It's a big show, and it has a fan base. You're very aware that you're in something that people are very enthusiastic about, and that is humbling and exciting and a bit overwhelming sometimes too. So there's a mixture of things. It felt like the right time to do it and to move on, but it's still sad. It was still, really difficult to. However right the decision is, when you've loved something that much, when you've had a formative experience and you've loved the people you work with, and you know that nothing else you do will quite be like that. So it was difficult. It was sad, and also the idea that it goes on without you is wonderful and terrible.
Yeah.
That you can be replaced is, of course, right and proper. But it does take a little bit of a moment to go, oh, he's quite good, that Matt Smith. All right. But ultimately, you just look back on something as a very positive experience, I think.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's David.
Good name, strong.
Anyway, my question for you is, what's your best food experience here in America so far?
What a great question, and I wish I'd been able to prep for it.
Thinking of Boston specifically, any particularly good seafood stories?
I got into Boston about 4 4 hours ago. So far I've had a cup of coffee.
What should he seek out in Boston?
Well,
Lobster roll. That was really fast, right?
Well, things that I'm actually more from Albany, New York.
So once you have an open in New York, when I'm next there,
Ted's fish fry.
Ted's fish fry.
Yeah, it's kind of popular.
I'm not a big fish fan.
All right,
Sorry about that.
Oh, well, you've already got New York City.
Yeah. I'll find something. I don't know why. I mean, the Mexican food in the US is great. Yeah. Because we sort of pretend to do it in the UK. But you do it properly here. Because, you're closer. It's like there's a connection. So I always enjoy Mexico when I come here. What do you say that?
Right away.
Hi.
Hi.
First of all, thank you so much for coming here. I hope everything's alright.
Thank you. Thrilled to be.
So for the question, he actually just stole my question for stage series 3.
Oh yeah.
But will you and Michael possibly work on another film or TV series together?
Or are you sick of each other by now?
I'd never see Michael shoot again as long as I live. It will be too soon. He just won't get out of my house. We have recently completed principal photography on Good Omens season 2. So that is still to come. That is coming to your telly box very soon. I don't know how soon. I mean, the last one took ages to finish, so it might be a while. But we have done it, so you have not seen The Last of Us for sure.
Can you tell us a little bit about the creative relationship with Neil Gaiman? What's it like working with him on Good Omens?
Neil Gaiman is a very hands-on showrunner. He now has about 15 different shows running, and he tells us that Good Omens is his favourite, but I bet he says that to the Sandman as well. What was that?
I think it's an announcement about you and McGregor photo op, so if you have a McGregor photo op,
I've got to get my version.
he's gotta go.
I don't want to miss that. What were we talking about?
Neil Gaiman, working with Neil Gaiman.
Yeah, no, he's very involved. I mean, obviously, Good Omens is a real love project for him because something he wrote with Terry Pratchett, who he sees as a great friend and also a great mentor to him. And to get Good Omens finally on screen was a real labour of love for Neil. And he was very involved at every step of the way. And as the story continues, so has his involvement. So Neil is, well, he writes every word. I mean, there are other writers who are involved in season 2, but it's Neil's show, and Neil he's over every decision and he's a collaborator. That's the great thing about Neil. He could be forgiven for being rather autocratic. He's sort of earned his stripes in terms of deciding, what he likes and what he doesn't like. But he genuinely enjoys taking something from a page to a screen. The collaborative process that is, and working with Douglas McKinnon, our director, who's also a huge part of the finished product. I mean, he's a co-showrunner with Neil, so together they create this sort of magic, and he enjoys work. He enjoys it if you have an idea, and he gets excited and will take your idea and make it better and feed it back into the script and make you think like you're much cleverer than you are. So he's a joy to get to know and to work with.
Beautiful. Next up, right over here.
Hi. Throughout your career and over the different roles you've been in, what emotional scene stands out to you in the scene you faked it the least?
The scene I faked it the least. I never fake anything. Ever. I don't know, that's hard. It's probably a scene where you don't realise it's an emotional scene until you're in the middle of it. I suppose it would be something like that. And I'm thinking of one in particular that you haven't seen yet, so I can't tell you about it. So that's my answer, which is really
Thank you.
thrilled.
Hello.
Hi.
My name is Adrienne.
Hello.
And I have a question, but
Yeah.
I was first wondering if you would say your Doctor Who catchphrase, Alonzi.
Allons-y. Amazing.
Thank you so much.
Very,
So
very
my
welcome.
question is, when you were working on the Doctor Who stage, who is your favorite person to work with?
Can you imagine if I started picking favourites? Can you imagine the abuse I would get? My favourite was... there was some actress who played the Doctor's daughter I quite liked. Can't quite remember the name, but I do remember her. I think she was quite special, yeah.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Hi, thank you for being here.
You're so welcome.
My question is, where was your absolute favorite place to film?
Whatever, anywhere. Oh, that's a good question. The Shakespeare's Globe is an amazing place to film, which I've had the pleasure of doing 3 times now. Also, obviously, we did it on Doctor Who, but it's a great location. We've also done it on Good Omens, and I also did it in a film called Centurions 2, The Legend of Britain's Gold. John Mason, you're all very familiar with it.
I am, but
You are?
yeah, I am.
One of your favourites?
Of the 2 Centurions films, well, the 3 including the original.
And where does it rank?
It ranks. It's very near the top. It's at the top.
It's at the top.
It's at the top.
It's at the top. Yeah, there's something about that because it's so beautifully. I mean, it's a beautiful recreation of something, and it's more painstakingly created, more fundamentally recreated than any sort of movie set could ever be, because it's a standing thing that exists. So that's quite special. You feel like you're genuinely in the olden days when you're in there, which is quite exciting. So I'd say that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Over here.
Hi, David. Russell.
Hi, Russell.
It's a pleasure and an honor. I was wondering if you could do me a quick favor. So I bought tickets for a photo op for my nephew, and he's unable to make it this afternoon, but he's sitting right there in the front row.
Okay.
Could you please wish him a belated happy birthday for me?
What's his name?
Aiden.
Happy. Come on, everyone. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Aiden. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you so much, David.
David is available for weddings, bar mitzvahs.
I am. Yeah.
You see his agent right over here.
Hi, my name is Jessica, and
Cigar.
thanks. You talked a little bit about Good Omens, and I'm a huge Terry Pratchett fan.
Sure.
And I'm wondering, did you ever get the chance to talk with him, meet him? Do you read his works? Do you have a favorite? I know he's gone now, but
I never did get to meet him, unfortunately. No, I know, but he's heavily featured
yeah.
in, obviously, you know, his work was on every page of Good Omens 1. But there's more of him in Good Omens 2 than you might expect. And at times he's even almost in a scene, but I won't say any more than that.
Sure.
I never did get to meet him, and I don't know a lot of his work, but I read The Carpet People for an audiobook, which was, and I'm in the movie of The Amazing Maurice, which is coming up. I play Dangerous Beans.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I feel like he's impacted on my life in many ways, and I'm very grateful for everything that he gave the world.
Okay, that was it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Right over here.
Hi, David. David, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Really great that you came here today. It's an honor and a privilege to meet you. And I have one question.
Go on.
No, I had two. What would you like to do if you could take a year off from acting?
Oh, I'd like to learn to play the piano. Yeah, I would. I just started taking lessons and then I couldn't keep them up because of work and I was away and it was annoying. I'd love to play a musical instrument and speak French and Spanish.
Thank you so much.
Can I do that in a year? I can do that in a year, can I?
I don't see why not.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Hi, my name's Clinton.
Hi.
Russell Davies has said he wants a Doctor Who cinematic universe like Marvel Studios, which I think makes you Iron Man. Who actually decides if a theatrical film would get produced, and has Russell or Julie ever talked about getting a movie in the theaters?
The things that go on in Russell T Davies's mind, if only we could all have a ferret around in there, it would be very exciting. I don't know what his plans are. I mean, I know that he's now in charge of Doctor Who again. I know that that's very exciting. I know that I'm not allowed to say much about that.
Well, maybe you could tell us if, for example, you had recently worked again with Russell T Davies, if it was like the old days, if it's changed in any way, if it was like getting back into an old routine.
Well, what I think is interesting about the fact that Catherine Tate and I may have been filming, you see, because we were slightly unfortunate or fortunate in that we were filming some scenes that were in the public, so it had to be admitted that we were in it. So most of what's been filmed with other people has all been inside. So there's lots more coming than people think, which is very exciting. And as far as I'm aware, nobody has quite figured out yet what Catherine and I are doing there. I think there's a lot of theory, a lot of speculation, but I'm very excited for people to see the tiny little cog that we are in Russell's great machine.
So the answer is stay tuned, I guess.
Yes. Thank you.
Hi, David. Nice
Hi.
to meet you.
Hi.
One quick favor and then a question. My son Aiden has been a fan of yours since he's 6. He wanted to ask, but he's very shy. He's sitting over there. Can you just say hi?
Hi, a different Aiden.
Yeah, a different Aiden.
Hi. Do you have a birthday Aiden coming soon?
In October, he'll be 16.
That's a bit too far away for us to sing to as well, isn't it? It's nice to see you, Aiden.
But he has a question.
Yeah, you have played many different characters, and character development comes from a psychological perspective. What do you do to prepare for character development and then detach from those characters?
I don't know that I necessarily know. I think it's a sort of, I think you probably have to ask my wife, because she's the one who has to put up with it, you know. And I don't know. I always feel like that I leave work very much at home, at work rather, but I don't bring it home. I always feel that there are quite separate worlds for me. But I don't know that that's true. I think you probably have to ask Georgia how annoying I am. And I would like to see what she would answer to that. I don't know really. It's hard to talk about acting without sounding very self-indulgent. So I get quite shy of doing it really. I really enjoy other people talking about it. Which is why I did a podcast where I asked other people questions and I didn't answer any myself. So I don't know that I've got a very good answer for that. And maybe that's partly because I'm nervous of uncovering the magic and it being revealed to not be very magic.
That's perfectly fine.
Okay, thank you.
Go for it.
Hi David, my name's Adam.
Hi Adam.
So, over your career,
you've played a lot of Shakespeare roles, like Hamlet, Richard II, Benedict. My question is there a character you haven't played yet that you would like to in the future, or maybe one you'd like to play again?
In Shakespearean roles, yeah, loads of them. I love all that. I'd love to do Iago. I'd love to do Angelo in Measure for Measure. I'd quite like to do Bottom in Midsummer Night's Dream. I'd quite like to do Malvolio in 12-9. King Lear eventually. I mean, I'll be lucky to get through all of them. But that would do. I'd start with that. Thank you.
Can I ask you a little follow-up? Are there any Shakespeare plays that you think are particularly underappreciated or underrated, perhaps? Deep cuts as a Shakespearean yourself.
Yeah. I don't think Richard II is appreciated for the brilliant play and the brilliant role that is, actually. When I was doing Richard II, everyone went, oh, the one with the hump. But no, there's another one. It's Richard II, which is sort of, I would say almost a more extraordinary play. So yeah, maybe that one. Yeah. Although Love's Labour's Lost, there's some great stuff in Love's Labour's Lost. There's also some really difficult stuff in Love's Labour's Lost. And if you can take out all the funny scenes, then that's a great one. I very much enjoyed that one.
Right over here.
Hi David. I'm Hannah.
Hi Hannah.
First, I just want to thank you for being my doctor and making the show so special for so long for me. I really appreciate it.
So
and don't worry, my question's easy. I was wondering if you were upset at all when you found out Peter Capaldi could use his Scottish accent and you couldn't.
I wasn't upset because it was never talked about. It was always, so I never really thought about it. It now seems like quite a weird thing to have done, but at the time it never even crossed my mind that I would rather, because it was what we, and I'd just been working on Casanova with Russell T Davies, and in that I was using an English accent because I was the young Peter O'Toole, and so it's sort of one character almost sort of was inspired by the other. So I don't know that we ever really, I never considered not doing it. So it never occurred to me, and it's only now looking back that you can go, oh yeah. Peter was, yes, very Scottish. Julie was very northern, as was Chris. Yeah. I nearly give stuff away there. I don't move on.
Right over here.
Hi, I'm Ashley.
Hello.
Look at those wings, man.
The wings are amazing.
Thank you. I was just wondering what your favorite costume or look you've ever gotten to wear for anything you've ever been in.
Ooh. Ever. Ooh. I do quite like dressing up as Crowley. That's pretty cool. Because sunglasses kind of make everything better, don't they? Although the contact lenses are a little bit grim. By week 20 of the shoot. I mean, I suppose I've been pretty happy with, finding the look of a character feels very important, and you kind of know when you get it. When you get it, it just feels great, and you just feel at home. And certainly, Crowley was that. Certainly, when we were doing Doctor Who, I remember when we finally found the costume, and suddenly you kind of went, oh yeah, there we are. It just felt. You just kind of know when it's right, I think. So it's a feeling that you're in the right skin, I suppose, and that's always a bit of a journey. And hopefully, there's just a moment. It's a kind of intangible when you're doing costumes fittings. It's like there's just a moment you can go, oh, we're here, we've got there. So that's what you're kind of chasing. I feel like I've worked with some very talented designers who've made that possible. So, all of them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right over here.
Hi, my name's Emily.
Hi, Emily.
Thank you so much for coming to Boston. It's
Oh, my pleasure,
amazing.
my pleasure.
I'm such a huge fan of everything you're in. Great actor. My question though is about Kilgrave.
Okay.
Now that there is a multiverse in the MCU, if you were to come back, or maybe you have and you just can't say anything, what characters would you like to see Kilgrave interact with?
Oh, I don't know, that's good, isn't it? That's a good question. Captain Marvel, I'm hearing. I suppose the thing with Kilgrave is he's quite hard to beat unless you've got a very specific skill set. So it would be quite, I suppose he could wreak havoc with a lot of people, couldn't he? So it'd be quite nice to see that with quite a lot of them, I think. But then it would be, the trouble with, I think Kilgrave's quite a difficult character to write because it's difficult to get conflict. Either he can make you do anything, or he can't. And there's sort of, it's quite hard to find the story that works there. See what I mean? Because you either got him wreaking unadulterated havoc.
That'd be awesome.
Which would be, well, he'd like it. Or you've got him just being sort of beaten up by the Hulk who doesn't hear him or whatever, I don't know. But the Marvel Cinematic Universe is full of some very talented writers, and I'd be thrilled to see what they had to make of that, for sure.
Thank you so much.
Hi David, my name is Miriam.
Hello Miriam.
It's an honor to meet you, honestly, and I hope you braced yourself because I am going to go in depth about acting a little bit.
Okay.
As you are, in my opinion, one of the best actors of all time.
Oh my goodness. How can I come back from that, Miriam?
Wow. Well, I was wondering if you can remember a time when you got a script and your character did something that in your mind your character would never do, that it was clearly outside your idea of their personality, and how you handled that.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because in a way, your job as an actor is to make your character do what the script says your character does. So if the script says your character does something that feels out of character, your job, first of all, is to try and join the dots and see why that's happening. I mean, I suppose the only time, if it's a character you've been playing for a long time, and maybe there's a new writer then I suppose there's room for you going, I'm not sure that's, is there another way we can achieve the same end? Because sort of, your character is defined by, as we are as humans, we are defined by what we do and what we say. So, as an actor, you have to go, well, this person does this and says that, so I have to make that make sense. So I suppose that's the job, really. Unless it is like an ongoing thing, at which point I suppose it does come a point where you can sort of, you get to define that a little bit more than otherwise. I don't know, but I think I'd like to try and give it a shot first before I kind of assume the writer's got it wrong. Because they're the writer, so it's up to them, I suppose. Yeah, that would be my bandwidth answer.
This is his masterclass.
Well, thank you for that answer.
Thank you.
Over here.
Hi David, I'm Lorelai.
Hi Lorelai.
I love you in Doctor Who, but I also love you in Harry Potter. So my question is, what was your favorite part about playing Barney Cross Jr.?
Oh, hanging out with all those people. Get to be in a little ring of chairs like this with Alan Rickman and Maggie Smith and Michael Gambon and Daniel Radcliffe and Timothy Spall, and wow, it was amazing. Yeah, it was great. It was just blissful because it was it was all the kind of finest actors of every generation all in one room, and I wasn't really part of the gang because they'd all been there, for multiple films. They all had chairs like this with their names on the back, and I didn't. I had like a normal chair like that, with no name on the back, because I was just a little scrubber they brought in for a little bit. So there would be a circle of chairs with them all sitting round, and I'd get plopped there, and I would literally be like that.
The children's table.
Yeah, exactly. Listening to all these tales, but it was great, and I've done that for my entire life, quite happily.
Thank you.
So they tell me we've got about 5 minutes left. I know that we're not going to get to everybody, but we can get to as many of you as we possibly can if we go fast. Go for it.
Hi, I'm Alana.
Hello, Alana.
Hi. So I know you might not be able to say a lot, but I was wondering if there are any plans made or otherwise to make more Big Finish 10th Doctor adventures with Billy or Catherine or maybe even Frida?
I don't think there are any plans. No, but I know that I've recorded some that haven't come out yet. So I don't have any plans to do any more, but there are more to come.
Okay.
Which sort of answers your question, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Thanks.
Hi, David. Whoa. My name is Maddie.
Hi.
I have gotten to the front of this line and no one has asked you about Broadchurch yet?
Because it was your job to do it.
And that's what you're here for.
Okay, so it's one of my favorite things that you've done despite it being horrifically depressing.
Sure.
And you give me a very positive vibe in general. And I would say, and so does Olivia Colman, and so do many of the people on that show. And I want to know, how did you all keep morale up when filming something so grim, and how, because you all seem to enjoy each other's company from what I've seen, and I'm just wondering how filming something like that facilitates that.
It's a lot of very silly people on that job, actually. But who all take what they do very seriously. So it was a very joyous time, which is a bit weird because you're right, it was a very depressing story. But that group of people, it was a very, very happy, creative, fun-filled time. And then when we did the scenes, it was very serious and very concentrated. And maybe because of that, off-camera was very light, actually. Weirdly, often the case though, I think, when you're doing, because you sort of can't stay in that place all day for a 12-hour shooting day. You sort of have to visit it and do a deep dive into it. And then when the scene's finished, you then have to sort of run up and down and throw cakes at each other, because that's sort of, and that, the mix of people who were on that, we all felt the same way about it. We were all very, very committed to it, took it very seriously. And then we arsed around a lot as well. So I always think of it as a very happy time. And I'm very, very proud of the show. But yes, there were two quite different experiences, I suppose.
Alright, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Marcia.
Hi.
And we're from the UK, and my son is at the University of Edinburgh.
Oh, very good. What's he studying?
He's in chemical engineering.
That's clever. Well done.
So which do you prefer, Shakespeare and stage, or TV, film?
Well, Shakespeare doesn't have to just be on the stage.
True.
And there are other things that go on a stage, and then there are, I'm greedy for it all, is the answer to your question. I like being able to do both, and I am very chuffed that I get the chance.
And so are we.
Oh, thanks very much.
Hi, David.
Hi.
I'm Rachel.
Hi, Rachel.
I met you back in Philly in 2015.
Nice to see you again.
And you too. And so this is the question that I wish 14-year-old me had asked you. So, do you have a favorite piece of the TARDIS? There's a lot of like buttons and levers and things. Is any of it your favorite? Do you love it all?
Which TARDIS are we talking about?
Norris.
Sure. The one lever that never broke, which became the lever that set us off every time, because it was the only one you could rely on to not come away in your hand. So the big lever that did that, that was my favourite.
Right over here.
Hi.
My name is Skyler.
Hi.
I just want to say I love the Centurions movie that you did.
Thank you very much. Top of the class.
And my question is actually about Doctor Who. Do you still watch? And if so, who's your favorite Doctor other than yourself?
We watch every time there's a new episode. It's a family event. Of course it is. And it's been wonderful having Jodie to be to get the kids excited. And we've been glued. We haven't missed one, and we're looking forward to the next one. So it has always been a family event because of my family, and it will continue to be so, I suspect. Did I mess it up?
Favorite of the Doctors. I mean, how could you choose?
You know, I can
what are some of your favorite aspects of what, say, Peter, Jodie, Chris, Matt have done?
That's hard, isn't it? They're all terribly clever. They're all very good, aren't they? I don't know. I mean, the Doctor's the Doctor. The Doctor's exciting, whoever, and they're all so great. It feels weird to. I still enjoy watching it. It's weird. When I first came out, I thought maybe it's broken, maybe I wouldn't be able to be a fan anymore. But no, turns out it's easy.
So they're telling me that we've run out of time. I have one little bit of housekeeping to do, but I kind of want to override my bosses and take one more audience question. So let's do it.
Hi, my name is Leanne Morse, and I met you this morning.
Yes.
And as you know, I am a big DuckTales fan, and I also know you from Doctor Who. And my 7th grade band also did the theme song of Doctor Who.
Wow.
My question for you is, have you met the original voice actor or the 1987 voice actor of Scrooge McDuck?
I haven't. I believe he's no longer with us. Unfortunately, I would love to. And I think the legacy that original show created runs deep, because, man, I didn't realise how beloved that franchise was until I became part of it. And then the love that DuckTales has, and then the guys who are showrunners were such fans of it that they created this show made with such love and care and affection for the original, and all those wonderful voice actors and all the wonderful writers and animators. It was all, the whole thing was really a tribute to them all, and I think it feels like what they created was a genuine tribute to it, which we're all of us who were part of that cast feel really lucky to have been part of something that meant so much to me. It's been great.
If I can ask a little follow-up.
Thank you so much.
Leanne,
it was a pleasure.
Leanne's wonderful question. You read my mind. I was going to close the DuckTales question. To go just a little bit further, you look at a character like Scrooge McDuck, and you don't expect there to necessarily be the depth of journey that he has over the course of this series, where he's looking at lost family members and being a surrogate father figure. What was that journey for you like, sitting in the booth and recording it?
Well, it's a different thing than acting something when you're in the room with everyone, because it's all done separately. We didn't. The cast never met until it was launched at Comic-Con, when it was the first time we all were in the same room together. So the whole thing, I suppose you're being led by the writers even more than you would be if it was on stage or if it was on screen, because you don't have that. They're the only people you really have interaction with. So we were all in their hands, but I remember the first thing they said to us was, "This is a show about family." I thought, is it a show about ducks that fight like monsters and stuff? But they were absolutely true to their word. It was a show about family, and it was beautiful.
So one little bit of housekeeping. When exiting, we've got 2 exits over here, one there in the back. Before we show Mr. Tennant a send-off that only Boston can we get a round of applause for our sign language interpreters?